Everybody, McRoller31 back here for SSI DFS. I will be breaking down the early slate for Wednesday, August 11th. We have a 4-game slate, no weather concerns. And I think I'm just going to blow through the games quickly. And I think we're going to spend a little bit more time than normal on lineup constructions because there's a couple ways to go today. So I'll give you some examples of those. So first game, we have the Chicago White Sox, who scoring a lot of runs recently against Minnesota Twins. Lance Lynn on the mound against Bailey Ober. Lance Lynn, I think he's going to probably be most people's SP1. He's obviously clearly the best pitcher on the slate. Nothing really bad I can say about him. Bailey Ober on the other side, not too interested, and he's struggled a little bit recently. He gets you like 5 innings, but he might be able to get you like 10 DK points here overall. I just kind of he did face the White Sox a couple games ago. He went 5 innings and he had 10 DK. It was like 9.65 DK points. So really there's not much value on this slate. So I think he's plausible, but I really don't think he's one that I'm looking at. It'd be something to play in GPP, where if you obviously the White Sox are probably going to be the top stack on slate again. They don't have the highest total, but I think just with people seeing what they've done recently, I think they're really going to be appealing to them. You have the wind blowing out here, also 11 miles per hour, 81 degrees. Next up, we have New York Yankees and Kansas City. We have Devi Garcia and Bradley Singer coming back off of the IL. What was he on for? I don't know if I have that, but he should be back and should be ready to go. But he just doesn't go deep into games at all. He had a couple where he had like 5 or 6 innings, but a lot of ones too with 2 innings and 3 innings, a couple of outings with negative points. So again, like Over, I think you can play him, but he's up against a really good Yankees lineup. The wind's even blowing out even stronger here at like 13 to 15 miles per hour, and it's 93 degrees. So it's good conditions for the balls to fly. As for Delvi Garcia, he's only had 2 starts, 4 innings, really hasn't even cracked 10 DK points. So I know Kansas City sometimes is a lineup that we can target, but I'm just really not interested in either one of these pitchers here. The bats, yes, this game has the highest total on the slate. I don't have individual totals, but it's a 9.5 currently, and actually the money line is on the over in it. So there's lots of decent pieces here if you want to stick the Yankees. Even down on the bottoms, they also, with some of their injuries still and COVID cases, you have a couple guys that are just like bottom basement, like 2K, like Velasquez, who he's not great, but if you need a 2K punt to fit like shortstop or second base, like he can make some lineups work today. And Brantley is probably going to be the cheapest catcher that possibly is starting at 2-3. And then the Kansas City bats are definitely in play, and especially some cheap guys here too that could probably fill in your lineups if you're trying to go with. You're probably going to want to pay up for 2 pitchers, and then if you're trying to stack the White Sox, or the next game we come to the Houston Astros, who do have the highest total on the slate, you're going to need some value plays. So Anthony Senzatel, I think, is probably the worst pitcher on the slate for Colorado, and then Valdez would probably be most people's SP2 if they're paying up for both pitchers. Here's a good situation. Colorado, I think they're in contrarian stack. Like, I really don't like them on the road here. Like maybe Connor Joe leading off at he's got the splits advantage. He's only 2-6. We need a cheap piece there, or like Cron or Story. I mean, they're definitely a leverage stack that you can play against a lefty. So we can load up on the righties here and probably have a decent lineup if you just drop like Blackman, if the lineup's like Connor or It's a Connor Joe or Joe Connor. One of those names that can be backwards. It's Connor Joe. So Connor Joe, Brendan Rodgers, Trevor Story, CJ Cron, and Diaz at catcher there, or Hampton if he moves up. Who does however they roll it out. I just play the top 5 righties in the lineup for them if you're doing a contrarian thing. Houston, they're not too expensive, but look at Brantley and Tucker. It's like box scores recently. It's just like nickel and diming here and there. It's like nothing too exciting, not really super hitters. Diaz is with Gurriel on the IL is moved up to hit usually like 3rd or 4th in the order, which is nice at his price at 3.5. McCormick continues to be very popular in DFS at 2.6, and he's actually been putting up more points than Tucker and Brantley recently. So that might be a nice option there. Monolado probably is going to be my catcher at choice at 2.5. Especially he's in a decent matchup here. He's been mildly consistent recently, and the only one that I think that's going to be cheaper him is the Yankees guy, and he really hasn't done squat other than squat to catch the ball. Final game is going to be the Miami Marlins and the San Diego Padres. You have Sandy Alcantara here against Ryan Weathers. Alcantara is 8K. He's kind of nowhere in his land. He's a cheaper SP2 than Valdez. It opens up a little things. He got blown up by Colorado last time out, had negative 17.55, but that was at Coors Field, so you can kind of give him a pass there. Against the Yankees, he had 33 points, and Baltimore had 17, but then he had like a stretch where he had like 2 DK points and 8 DK points and 4 DK points against some pretty decent offenses, and they were both home and roads. So I really don't know what to expect out of him, but I think he's viable. The Padres, it's one of those day games where they could rotate out a bunch of guys from the lineup. Tatis is still out, so there's a big bad, and if they rest, like if Machado sits or some of these other guys, he might be a decent one. San Diego only has a 4.53 total, so it's not super high. The win might be hard for him to get there, but he might be a nice pivot off of Valdez as SP2 to open up some salary for you. And then Weathers on the other side, I know this is risky. I know that he hasn't been doing great recently. His last 2 games have been negative, and they both were at home, so it's not like the Colorado game was at Coors. He has faced Miami before. He put up 13.4. But I kind of look at it this way. If I look at all my choices for cheaper pitchers, Weathers on DK is the cheapest one at 6K. And he has put up at least 10 points against Miami. I have Bailey, who's like $700, Bailey Ober, who's $700 more against the Chicago White Sox team that's hitting really well in the wind blowing out. I have Garcia and Singer, who are a little bit more expensive also. Garcia hasn't gone more than a couple innings. Singer's just coming back from the IL. He's up against a Yankees lineup, and you got the wind blowing out. And then since it's just not an option, he's probably the worst pitcher on the slate. So why not go with Weathers as your SP2? Because if they're all questionable, I'm just going to pay for the guy that's the cheapest, who's already showed me that he can possibly get 10 points here. If all of them might do terrible, then why not just pay for the cheapest guy and try to make up the points on bats? Plus, I think it's the best matchup for them, and I think he's got potential if he can only spray a couple runs and his team hits, he might have the chance to get the win. So I'm gonna switch over here and move the screen share, and let's start building some lineups for you. Okay, 1 second here. Bring up DK. Okay, there we go. So let's start looking at building some lineups. So I think the first lineup we're going to build is, let's look at the Chicago White Sox. So like I said, I think they're going to be pretty popular. So we'll bring up the hitters here. And I think, there's going to be a couple options of ways to go here. So if we're trying to get them, if we're trying to get the White Sox in with the two high pitchers, so we're paying up a pitcher, and we're going to try to figure out how to get the White Sox. So let's do that. So here's where I'm going to go. I'm going to take Abreu. I'm going to take Moncada. I'm going to take hopefully Engels plays. If not, Goodwin's would be the other option, and Jimenez. So if all these guys play, here's where I'm locking in. If one of these studs doesn't play, then I'd try to get Anderson in, or I'd probably go with Cesar Hernandez just because he's cheap enough. But I think you can only get 4 White Sox in this build, and then just figure out who you want for for catcher, and then the fill in here. I can't tell you exactly, but you just have to figure out who you want for catcher with the money you have left. But you can actually stack the Marlins here because you're not playing Weathers. So if you think that he is going to struggle again, you can. There is 2 Marlins that are minimum price at second base and outfield. And then I think you can find a shortstop on the team that fits in there too. And you can still find a catcher to work to finish off this stack. So that's where I'm going with this one. And like I said, if one of the big expensive bats like Abreu sits, then I'd only put Anderson in because I'd only have to try to find $200 more. And maybe I could work in. It all depends on how the lineup comes up. If Sheets is batting up higher, and if like Abreu sits and Sheets is at first, I think that's a great trade-off there. I'd rather do that than put in the Marlin stack. So some different ways to go there. So if I am trying to get the full White Sox stack in, so at this point, I would drop down to Weathers at pitcher. Here. So there, I can get in Anderson, and it still leaves me $3K per player. So like I said, I'm using Maldonado most of at catcher because like price point, decent matchup, decent consistency. Against worst pitcher on slate. I don't know why Joe Panic just went in there or why that just filled in the rest of my line. That is bizarre. You click on one guy and it like auto-filled or something. Anyways, I believe we're back to where we were. Okay, so you put model in there, and that leaves you 3.25 for your last 2 players there. And there's a lot of great options at 3.25 that you can go a low priced, like maybe throw McCormick in there and you can get a decent second baseman, or if you want to punt at like second base or go down, I think a couple of Kansas City guys fit in there possibly. So there's some different ways to go there. And so the next place that I was looking to go would be like trying to stack the Kansas City and Yankees game, because you have the high total, you have the wind blowing out there, you have 2 pitchers who are not that great. So if you go with Lynn and Weathers, you can pretty much get a really decent stack here with the hitters. So I'm going to take Perez at catcher, Judge, Gallo, Stanton. Let's see who else I have in there. First base, you have a choice. There's a lot of options. You can go DeLemayhew, Voit, or Santana. I'm going to go with Voit. Santana, if you look at his box score, he just really hasn't been good recently. Like, look at the DK points are just not anything too exciting. So just not, yeah, fantasy point 0, 0, 5, 2, 7, 3, 7, just nothing spectacular there. So kind of out on him. So I think Voit makes the most sense. If you can get up to DeLemayhew, that's fine. So that leaves you 3 spots here. If you Merrifield fits in second base, or Odor, or LeMahieu. I don't think we have 5 Yankees yet. So there's lots of different choices for second. So if you put Merrifield in there, that still leaves you $3K per player for to fill out the final 2 guys there. And if you want to, you can continue on with the stack to make it the full thing for the game, or throw in some other one-offs in there. If we move up on pitcher and go to Valdez, that obviously doesn't work. So in a case like this, see how we can differentiate. So we probably would have to drop Voit there. And if if you do think Santana just getting a couple points would work for you, if you put him in. Actually, I didn't have Valdez. I had it with, I knew I had made this work someplace. I had Alcantara in there. It's my SP2. So that leaves you 2-1. So this is doable. Again, I'm kind of hesitant to put Santana in there. But I do like the weather. I think, this is more of a GPP, having like more Kansas City in there. And then finally, let's look at the Houston stack, because the Houston has the highest total. And I think this might be a little bit lower ownership than the White Sox. I think a lot of people are going to look at that matchup and go there. So pitcher, we throw in Valdez, and I'll bring up Houston. And here I'm taking Altuve. I am taking Alvarez. I am taking Correa. I am taking Diaz. And then have to figure out who you want for outfield. So I did not take Kyle Tucker. I don't know how I got in there. My mouse is going crazy today. So here are your options. Like McCormick definitely especially if he moves up in the order, it gives you the most salary to work with. But you can go Brantley here, and then you can fill the rest of this in if the lineups come out the way they're supposed to with Marlins. And I think they're all consecutive in the batting orders. So I really like this one too. It gives you the top 2 pitchers. It gives you, a good offense against probably the worst pitcher. And so I think this is going to be my main cash build here. I think I'm going Houston over the White Sox. And then, like I said, you get 3 Marlins if they all start the way they're projected to. So look at that team, and you should be able to fit them in here with the rest of the order. Actually, you might, there's 2 different ways to do it. So you can do a catcher, third, and outfield should work for you. Or if you play Diaz at third base, you can also get catcher, first base, and outfield from the Marlins, and that should also work for you. So appreciate you watching. Come back in a little bit. As soon as I'm done producing this video and posting it, I'm going to start researching the night slate for tonight. There's 11 game slate. Lots of weather concerns tonight with rain in some of the games. So we'll have to keep an eye on that, but we'll break it all down. We'll give you the best situations for hitting and and pitching that we can, and share our stacks and plays, and we'll do a couple more lineup breakdowns. So appreciate you guys watching this, and subscribe to our channel so you know when our next videos come out. Give us a like. Yeah, that always helps us out here, and appreciate you watching, and hopefully I'll see you later for the night slate. Good luck this afternoon.